Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, whichever side I have it on, as well as the bell. So anytime any new content is uploaded, you will be the first to know about it. You guys, if your manifestations have not been moving as quickly as you'd like, it could more than likely be because you are not doing the following. You are not filtering what it is that you are watching, listening to, thinking, and even speaking, okay? The moment that you think of it this way, right? Okay, if you are driving, right, or riding a bicycle, you want to look straight ahead and you want to focus in on that point, right? If you are looking to the left, looking to the right too often, right? You're not going to be moving in a straight line, right? You might veer. It doesn't mean you won't get back on track, but you might veer a little bit further to the left. You might veer a little bit further to the right because your attention, your energy, your focus is not pinpointed, right? The universe in general is very active, very alive, very much alive. I'm not a physicist, but I do know that the universe is actively wanting to co-create with us. So anything that we are thinking, speaking, saying, it's always trying to produce evidence to make that so, right? So if we are, I don't know, you know how a lot of times like we get upset and we're like, you know, FML, right? This sucks, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, the universe that is actively around us, that is always trying to produce evidence of what we say, think, and speak, is just going to produce more of that energy to make it so, right? If you're saying this sucks, that sucks, blah, 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 you know, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm not saying that we don't have moments that literally just make us just want to throw something against the wall or just like, ugh, not saying that. But when you actively express that a lot, right? Or just actively you're expressing it, what you're going to notice, right, is that you're going to bring more of that into your energy, right? More things that will maybe might frustrate you and keep you in that vibe, right? Same way, right? And it's when I always mention this before, sometimes when we are actively manifesting, you know, I don't want to say that it's boring, but it really is a lot of, not saying that you have to be like a monk or, you know, just, you know, there's no fun, but you really have to be conscious in what it is that you filter out. What are you watching? Okay. Are you trying to manifest this very opulent, beautiful, whatever, I don't know, romance, right? But you are, I don't know, you're watching nothing but movies on people that double cross each other and you know, I don't know, sleep with their best friend's neighbor and you know, just are you you know, what are you taking in? Are you listening to even though it was, you know, for all my old school people, you guys know the song I'm talking about, but you know, are you listening? Are you wanting to manifest this great romance, but the music that you're listening to is the, you know, like the Mary J. Blige, I'm going down, okay? Are you singing that? Because as I spoke about in other, as I have spoken about in other videos, songs really, right? Great melodies, music that we like, right? Beats that we like. But you really have to be very conscious of what are the lyrics, because ultimately lyrics, especially when there's repeating chorus, lyrics are nothing but mantras, right? You're literally something that you're speaking it over and over and over again. So if your intention, let's just put it this way, if your intention is this great romance or this whatever that you want to bring into your creation, bring into your bubble, into your world, but you're watching movies that might actually be, you know, really interesting to watch, right? But they're movies about, the couple that's super dysfunctional, and this one, or reality TV, this one is sleeping with the best friend's, her husband's best friend, and she's cheating and she's doing this and she's doing that. Or you're listening to music nonstop about heartbreak, right? And you're singing those songs, those lyrics out loud. And you're singing those lyrics out loud, and it's about heartbreak. Like, what are you bringing into your world? I'm not saying that you can't manifest a great romance, you can't manifest the one, but it might make it a little bit harder. It's going to slow down that manifestation, because you're actually sending mixed signals. You're actually sending mixed signals to the universe, right? You're saying you want one thing, or that you're focused in on one thing, but yet you are singing about watching, right? Even speaking, listening to things that are opposite. It's an opposition of what it is you're trying to bring into manifestation, if that makes sense. Same way with, it is the same way with, let's just say, right, that you are wanting to manifest, like, I don't know, wealth or whatever, just this certain lifestyle, right? However, you spend a lot of time, let's just say, watching, I don't know, real grimy movies, that all take place in, like, the hood, and this is happening and that's happening. And, it's very opposite of the type of lifestyle that you wish to manifest, right? I'm just saying that it's more than likely that if your manifestations are not quite coming in as quickly as you want them to, it's because of something that you're doing, speaking, watching, saying, thinking, is actually in opposition of what it is that you are trying to manifest, what you're trying to co-create with the universe. You're actually sending out mixed signals, okay? Just like if, let's just say, you are on a weight loss journey, right? This is just an example, but you're on a weight loss journey and you are really working toward, like, changing your diet, changing certain habits, right? Maybe late night snacking, or you're just trying to eat a little bit cleaner, healthier. Maybe now you want to incorporate exercise into your routine, but opposite of that, you are still putting yourself in environments where other people are not in rhythm with what it is that you are now in rhythm with, if that makes sense, right? So let's just say you are around people that really don't value or see the value in clean eating, right? Or healthy eating. You're around people that think it's perfectly normal to eat whatever and snack all throughout the night, or people that look at you funny because you want to incorporate exercise somehow into your routine. Maybe after eating, for you, a new habit has been to take a walk around the block, right? Or to actually stop and walk on the stop into a gym and walk on a treadmill, or just do something active, and you are in an environment or you're around people that don't really see the value in that, and maybe unintentionally, right? Maybe send kind of like certain vibes your way, right? Or they're not really encouraging healthy eating because, they want to offer you this or that, or give things that are in opposition of what it is you're trying to manifest. It doesn't mean that because you're losing weight, then every friend that you have has to be super healthy and doing exactly what you're doing. But I will say this, that when you're trying to focus in and really hone in on a particular lifestyle or certain changes you want to make, and you are surrounding yourself, you're putting yourself in environments that are not in rhythm of that, then it will make it 10 times harder to manifest and to bring into your bubble, your universe, into creation, what it is that you are trying to manifest, okay? Last example, that I'm going to give is if someone is whatever, let's just say dealing with some kind of addictions or whatever. I mean, this is kind of like a no-brainer, right? Obviously, they need to change up, right? If their thing has been to do whatever, Lord knows what type of substances or whatever, let's just say, and obviously they have over the years collected friends that do those same things, but now that person is trying to switch up, change up, then it's going to be, doesn't mean that they can't, change their world or change their life or whatever, but it's going to be 10 times harder if they're around people that are still doing that and bringing that around them. And like, that's kind of like probably the easiest example that I could give where it's kind of a no-brainer, right? I think anybody would recommend the advice to be to that person to like, oh yeah, you got to radically like change it up, dump those, those people that's not, but it's the same with any other type of new habit that you're trying to incorporate, any type of new lifestyle that you're trying to incorporate, right? Maybe it's someone who wants to go back to school, right? Or, further their education or, start a business, right? And if they are around a lot of people that just don't see the value in that, okay, it doesn't mean that they can't manifest that dream life or that career or go further along in their education, but it's going to make it 10 times harder because they're around people or environments that's not in rhythm with what it is they're trying to manifest. So I say all that to say that if you have found it to be more difficult, right, to manifest certain things, really take a minute to examine, look at, think about what it is that you may be watching, saying, listening to, thinking, what environments you're in that is actually in opposition of what it is that you desire to bring into fruition, that you desire to bring into manifestation, okay? And really just kind of slowly take it from there. Okay, sometimes you can't make radical changes overnight, but you really do have to kind of like examine, okay, well, what needs to go, what needs to stay, what are we going to keep, what are we going to throw away, type of like thinking, because it's something in there, right? Some kind of little blockages, right, that need to be removed, dissolved, in order to really clear that pathway to make it much easier for you to manifest, okay? And I know you guys can do it. I know you guys have likely come a long way or on the journey to making some really huge strides, okay? And one thing that I think is so fascinating about manifesting is that for everyone it's going to be different, right? Depending on where you're at or the number of blockages that you have or the your ability to point out, to figure out where those are and remove them. But manifestation for some could take a week. For others, it could take a month. For some, it could take a year. But if you really kind of like incorporate all the different like principles, right, and really like put these into action, you will notice things to move 10 times faster than what would be considered like normal changes, okay? Where it's like, oh, whoa, like, who is that? What type of like level of, speed of change there, okay? But yeah, really it's about making sure that everything is in alignment, right? Where you're headed, right? The where you're headed should be in alignment with your environment. Okay, there's some things that you could change overnight, some that you can't. Okay, if you're in an environment that is toxic or whatever, you have to kind of work your way through that or out of that, but try to remove yourself out of different environments as much as you can. Be, in that that environment as less as possible, okay? Because all of that yucky gooky, low vibe energy, yucky gooky stuff makes it much harder to bring in positive like changes that you need, right? Think of it as almost like contamination, right? And I hate to say it like that, but like where you wouldn't want things to kind of commingle, right? Because one will contaminate the other. It's the same. So think about that, you guys. I hope that someone found this video to be helpful, useful. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up. Share it with someone who may need to hear it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become a member of the community, you guys. We're not just out here talking about, you know, leveling up, glowing up, manifestation, but we really are a community here to support each other. And don't forget that a comment that you leave might actually be helpful to someone else, right? Like really. So leave comments down below and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.